Here we are, the last Sunday in 2024, and often as we're moving into the new year, we naturally start thinking about what we want to create. What do I want my 2025 to look like? What are my New Year's resolutions? What do I want to create this year? What do I want to experience? What do I want to offer? What do I want to receive? And that's a natural tendency this time of year. The truth is, we actually get to choose every single moment to either consciously create or unconsciously create. But collectively, this week that happens as we move into the new year in a few days is a time that many of us reflect on what we want to create. But what I want to offer today is what might be a way to anchor in spirit and in gratitude as we not only look at what we want to create in 2025, but what we would like to release. And in many New Thought traditions, we do something that is called the burning bowl. And for anyone who doesn't know, that essentially means you write down anything you want to release from the year and ceremoniously burn it in a bowl. And the idea is that we then can release that. What I want to offer is that is an important practice. And I want to maybe take it a little bit deeper today and offer something that I think for me was life changing. And that was a very simple understanding that we are either consciously or unconsciously creating our life moment to moment. And as much as I have wanted it to be about affirmations and the energy I'm holding and being careful what I'm thinking, I understand that in addition to that, there is something happening in the unconscious that is replicating the same experiences for us. And as Pema Chodron so beautifully says, life will continue to give you the experience until you have got it's taught you what you need to learn. That was definitely a paraphrase. But the idea is sometimes, and maybe this, if you relate to this, but in my life, I thought that affirmations and denials, in other words, what I wanted to affirm and what I wanted to release, was really about a positive and negative. I want to focus on the positive and I want to release the negative. And at some point, I woke up and I said, that in a subtle or not so subtle way is anchoring myself in duality. I want more of this and less of this is actually the Buddhist definition of suffering, clinging and aversion. I want more of what feels good or what is pleasurable, and I want less of what is difficult. And I know for myself, and this might not be true for you because you might be way more advanced than I, but I came into New Thought teachings and I spent the first 20 years thinking, how do I get rid of all the negative stuff in my life? And there was a point that I came to that I realized that true integration is about understanding that we are now moving into an era of consciousness that is beyond duality, that is beyond, I want more of this and less of that. It is beyond, what do I want to write on a piece of paper and release? It is recognizing that it's all spiritual and that everything can be used as fuel for our transformation. In other words, something happens, I create a meaning of what just happened. And because of the meaning I attach to it, that becomes my experience. So if I say something like, oh, this is terrible and I want to release it, I might, in a subtle or not so subtle way, be saying, I don't want to experience that. And that might be true on some level. Of course, I want love and connection and joy and light and happiness. And maybe I don't want illness or frustration or shame. We talked about shame earlier. But there was this point I woke up and I understood that it's all spiritual. And moving into that place where it's all spiritual has allowed me to take this time, and this time, whether it's in the calendar or this time just in this moment, where I can pause and reflect and say, what are the seeds that I'm planting right now in my unconscious that will be growing? And if you think about a seed, if you think about planting a seed, you don't put it out in the sun. If you just put a seed out in the sun will actually burn it and nothing will grow. It needs to be safely put into the ground and tended to. Water, it needs to be in fertile soil. It needs to be watered. It needs to have that sunlight. In other words, there are conditions that need to be present in order for a seed to grow. And so if the seed is an idea for your life, I have an idea of what I want to create. I have an idea that I want more love in my life, more connection in my life. That seed starts in consciousness. It starts not only as a thought, but it starts as a divine idea for our life. And that divine idea doesn't need to be put right out in the sun and then immediately grow. It needs to be tended to. And so perhaps this week is a perfect representation of the time that we move within. We ask ourselves, what is the highest possibility for my life today? What needs to be released in order for me to step more fully into the life that I know I'm here to live? And when I say what needs to be released, I'm not talking about conditions. I'm talking about inner states of consciousness. And an inner state of consciousness that I've been working with and looking at and aware of is this idea to cling and avert, this idea that I want more of what feels good. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But the issue with that, I'll put it this way, if we say it's a beautiful sunny day, and I know I talk about this a lot, but it's such a perfect example. If I say it's a beautiful day, most of us would say something like it's 70 degrees and sunny. And then I'll say, unless you live in San Diego, you're going to suffer because we experience all different weather. And when we think this one thing, this one very narrow experience of the weather is a good day, what happens on all those other days? And so we could say, well, I'm not gonna live anywhere where it rains. Well, if we live somewhere where it doesn't rain, there is literally no life. So sometimes our points of view need to be questioned. Sometimes the stories that we have been carrying around need to be questioned. What stories, ideas, and beliefs have you been carrying around, whether it's in your conscious or your unconscious, that have been creating the conditions of your life? Now, I want to take a little bit of a dive into the unconscious. If a story is in my unconscious, how would I know it's there? Because I'm not aware of it, right? It's literally if it's literally in the unconscious, then I'm not aware of what's happening. It's actually profoundly simple. I look at the conditions of my life, and I look at those conditions in my life that keep repeating themselves, those conditions of my life that keep, for whatever reason, and I'm saying that in a very conscious way, how does this keep happening to me? Usually it's to me at that place in consciousness, or why do I keep doing this over and over and over again? Those are that's the insight. That's the window into the unconscious or the subconscious, because we in unity teachings and in new thought teachings understand that thoughts create reality. Many of us also understand that it's something much deeper than thought. Thoughts do have a lot of power, but there's a frequency, there's a vibration that is happening underneath the surface that is actually what is creating reality. So if I'm saying things like, I am abundant in every way, but there's this little thing underneath that's like, but do I actually deserve that? Or I might have an old story, whether that's about money or relationships or love. Like some of us got messages like, don't be too big for your britches, or who do you think you are? Right? The greatest act of arrogance is limitation. The greatest act of arrogance is not enoughness. And the reason I say that is those are the situations in our life that keep getting recreated based on my concretization of a story, of an idea, of a belief. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. Because in truth, we're infinite beings. We came into the world as a spark of divinity. We came in as infinite spiritual beings, capable of creating anything that we want to create. But then we start getting programmed by people, mostly well-meaning people, who teach us the way of the world. They teach us the ways of the world. And sometimes the ways of the world are, there's not enough for everyone. We have to compete. We can't have peace in the world without having war. There are so many concepts and ideas that we have been fed. And we come into New Thought teachings and we hear things like, change your thinking, change your life. And so we might say, oh, I don't want to focus on that thought. I'm going to look away from that. I'm going to pretend like it's not happening. I'm going to write that down and put that in the burning bowl. But we're talking about something that's really different than that. And that is embracing everything that's happening in the world as an opportunity to know ourselves more deeply. Those conditions that keep replicating are an indicator of where I am in consciousness, not from a place of what am I doing wrong, but from a place of look how powerful I am that I keep creating all of this lack. Look how powerful I am that I keep creating. I'll tell you a story. I had two core beliefs or core false beliefs that ran the show for me. One was I'm not lovable, but the other one was everyone likes me. So I had a very interesting experience in my early life of everyone likes me. I feel very likable. I have so many friends, so many connections. But if they really knew me, if they really understood who I am underneath this, they could not possibly love me. So I found myself unconsciously creating the same types of relationships over and over and over again. People who liked me and who I liked, but we couldn't go deeper. I couldn't let someone really see who and what I am or what I was thinking, what I was feeling. Now, of course, I know today I was capable of that, but I didn't understand that I was. I also understand that those were lies about myself anyway, believing I was broken or damaged or not good enough. The truth is, we are infinite beings. And the truth is, the more we understand that and tap into ultimate reality, that frequency, that effervescent creative spark that we are, we naturally act that way in the world and the world responds, or we make different choices because we believe that we're worthy of this. And the greatest paradox is we don't really need anyone or anything in the outer realm to reflect back to us who we are. But once we are tapped into that and living from that, we are radiating that into the world. And of course, we experience more love. And it's the furthest thing from selfish. Some of us have been said to love ourselves in that way as selfish because as I understand I'm an infinite being, I'm more available to love. I'm more available to serve. I'm more available to connect. I'm more available to see someone else through the lens that I see them through in their highest possibility. When I was in my early 20s and I felt damaged and broken, there was a person in my life who came in and said, that's not who you are. I know who you are. You're a precious spiritual being. You're an infinite being. You are capable of things beyond your wildest imagination. And my response was, ooh, obviously she doesn't know who I am. Because I was more comfortable with the shame. I was more comfortable with the brokenness. I was more comfortable with the addictions that I was living in. It took me some time to understand that the only surrender I really need to make is to understand that I'm an infinite being, a precious spiritual being, and that that is the truth for each of us. And as I know that for me, I know that for you. And that's how consciousness shifts on the planet. So here we are a few days before New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and it's a time to reflect. It's an opportunity to ask, what are the perspectives, the ideas, the beliefs? What is the energy that I'm holding that has either kept me stuck or that has created more love in my life? The truth is, everything is available at every moment. I don't need to reject one or embrace another. It's just where do I want to put my energy? Energy is not born, we just channel it. We just channel it in a different way. So I have a choice every single moment. Do I want to focus on what's broken about myself? And when I focus on what's broken about myself, I see that everywhere in the world. When I focus on myself as a whole and infinite spiritual being, I see that in every living being. And then we start to create a different reality. And so, whether we were chosen to be on planet Earth at this time. We consciously or unconsciously chose to be here. We were assigned this, or we just randomly were born here. Right here, moving into 2025, the question that each of us gets to ask is, what do I want to create now? Who have I come to be now? Who have I come here to be? Who have I come here? Not only what have I come here to do, but what is the vibration of my life that I'm saying yes to right now? Every single moment is a moment we can open up or close off. Both choices are completely valid. They take the same amount of energy. It takes the same amount of energy to see the world as broken as it does to see the world as loving. As a matter of fact, I think it takes a lot more energy to see the world as broken because I used to feel depleted. I used to feel like I didn't have any energy at all. And the older I get, the more energy I have. And the reason for that is I understand the truth of who and what each of us is. Each of us is a spark of divinity. So as we move into this new year, this new moment, we can move in consciously, asking ourselves the question, what is the highest possibility for my life now? Who have I come here to be? What do I need to release in order to fulfill this vision for my life? How must I grow in consciousness in order to radiate more love in the world? What are my unique skills and talents that have made me uniquely available to access this internal spiritual blueprint that is unique to me? We all have the same ultimate purpose, and that is to awaken to this greater reality. And each of us has our own unique spiritual blueprint. So as we take some time to reflect in the next 48 hours or so, my invitation is to do that consciously and to ask these questions. What's the highest possibility for my life? How must I grow in consciousness in order to fulfill this vision? What needs to be released? What are my unique skills and talents? And am I ready to say yes? So in closing, what I want to offer is this question that's profoundly simple. Are you ready to say yes? Are you ready to say yes to a new way of being and a new way of seeing? Are you ready to embrace all that life has to offer? And just notice, do I want to reject some, call something bad, call something good? Or can I say, isn't this interesting? I know about the power and the frequency of one of the greatest spiritual technologies available, and that is gratitude. I can meet everything, every moment with gratitude. Not grateful for, but grateful in the midst of this, grateful as being the frequency of gratitude. Grateful for everything that I once wanted to reject and grateful for everything that I wanted to cling to. This middle way, this openness, this curiosity, and this presence. I know that each of us is here by divine appointment. Are you ready to say yes to the greatest and highest possibility of your life right now? Take a moment, move within, ask yourself, am I ready to say yes to this greater reality? Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you so much, and happy new moment.
Well, you know how this works if you've been here when I've been here. I have been listening and furiously writing down every single thing that was just said. Wow! Is anybody else like completely astounded by that incredible talk? Thank you so much, TJ. You are exactly what I needed to hear. I don't know about you, but and I see David grinning ear to ear. So we know what's going to come. I'm just going to make up something on the spot. I wrote down some things and I don't know what this is called. I don't know where we're going, but it's going to be good. Moment to moment, we create infinite beings, we integrate. We can have peace without having war, and we can release what's deep in the core, recognizing it's all fuel. Everything we experience is a tool. We are the seed and we need to be planted in truth. Tend to the truth and you'll find it inside of you. And there is no life where there is no rain. And the stories we tell create joy and pain. And how do we know what we aren't unconsciously knowing, well, we look at the conditions in which we are growing. Oh, what is your frequency? Look at your reality and ask yourself what core beliefs are running the show for me. What is running the show for me? Oh, what do you know about who you are? Do you believe that you are the stuff of the stars? You are the ultimate reality, the effervescent spark, making new choices from inside our heart. Moment to moment, we create infinite beings, we integrate, and you are infinite, capable, and you can do anything. You are precious. Feel that energy shifting, 'cause if you focus on what's broken, you will see what's broken, and the words of love spoken will make us more open. So move into the highest possibility. Radiate more love. Ask what makes me feel alive, and awaken your unique power in 2025. Moment to moment, we create infinite beings. We integrate. I don't know. There were moments in there. There were some moments in there. Moment to moment.